What comes is the worst attack on civilians in recent memory. 5 people were killed and over 40 critically, seriously injured in firing and shelling from Pakistan at the international border in Jammu and Kashmir. 2 women and a 13-year-old girl were among those killed when Pakistan Rangers started firing at posts of the Border Security Force and villages in the Arnia sector of Jammu. 2 members of one family were killed in the attack the night before Eid celebrations on Monday. Over 1,000 people have been accommodated in camps overnight, their settlements and villages evacuated. Several were wounded in heavy mortar shelling and their homes have been damaged or destroyed. Mortar shells reportedly even hit a bus stand over 4 kilometers from the international border.
We have one other eyewitness who was survived. मंगलदास जी क्या हुआ उस वक्त जैसे फायरिंग हुई?
बहुत ज्यादा फायर हुआ जी उस वेले जिस वेले पीछे पे मकाने में पहले गोला बच्चे आखे लगे हो जाओ लगे उन्हें बेचारे भिड़ पे आए ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਹੋਏ 4 ਆਦਮੀ ਮਰੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਬਾਕੀ ਜ਼ਖਮੀ ਹੋਏ
तो कितना डर कितना है?
डर बहुत ज्यादा जी इतने रात को रहना बड़ा मुश्किल हो।
तो इससे पहले कभी इस तरह की फायरिंग और शेलिंग कभी आपने देखा कि इस तरह से हुआ? क्योंकि डीसीपी भी सबक क्रॉस कर गई है।
नहीं जी कभी नहीं हुई, पहले तो पीछे होती आज तो बहुत ज्यादा हुई आज तो बहुत बड़ा खतरा हुई।
This is clear that for the last so many years there was a shelling and firing in the Arnia area, but it was not crossing the ditch compound. It means DCB, but because of the today's firing and shelling from the Pakistani, people have a terror in this village. They have decided that they will shift to the separate places because of the shelling and Pakistani firing. Ashwini Kumar for Headlines Today in Jammu.
Several houses and buses were damaged as people going about their daily jobs were suddenly in the line of that furious shelling. Blood-spattered terraces and street sides told the tale after mortar shells rained down on residential areas where panic-stricken people ran for safety.
बहुत डर है सर, बहुत डर है ना हमको। हम कहीं कहाँ जाएं हम? तो छोटे छोटे बच्चे हैं हमारे यहाँ, कहाँ लेके जाएं इनको? तो इधर ही घर पे थे तो इधर में मुझे भी लग गई है ना, इधर फायरिंग इधर मुझे कान में भी हो गया प्रॉब्लम, बच्चे को भी लग गई है हाथ में। हम बहुत डरते हैं।
3-4 दिन से लगातार फायरिंग हो रही है, उसकी वजह से हम गांव से बाहर आ गए हैं। काफी सारा डर है उधर, मतलब कि सभी बच्चे बड़े सभी डरे हुए, सभी घर से बाहर है।
अब आप कहाँ जा रहे हो?
काफी सारे बम, छोटी फायरिंग सब भी हो रहा है।
सर बहुत डर है, हम बहुत डरे हुए लोग हैं। वो जो रात को 12 बजे के करीब, लेकिन पता किसी को भी नहीं है कि 11 बजे थे या 12 बजे थे, इसके बीच ही फायरिंग हुई है। तो पहले तो गांव के बाहर पड़ रहे थे, उसके बाद गांव के अंदर पड़ने लगे। जो हमारा घर है, मेरा छोटा देवर है और इनके बच्चों को सैलिंग लगी। हमारे बच्चे भी जहां आने वाले थे, अच्छा हुआ हम जहां नहीं आए।
Joining me now to discuss where things currently are at and where things need to be going forward. Privileged to have with us this evening Prakash Singh, former Director General of the Border Security Force. It is the BSF that is in the line of fire currently on the international border, facing ceasefire violation after ceasefire violation. Sudhanshu Mittal, member of the ruling BJP. Remember, there are several questions for the central government at this time about why these ceasefire violations are continuing, despite the government continuing to put out the same old rhetoric, saying enough is actually being done and the army has been empowered to respond. In just a moment, we'll also be going across to my colleague Ashwini Kumar, who's live with us from the Akhnur sector in Jammu, where several ceasefire violations have happened. The latest one happened just yesterday, where civilian settlements, have been bombarded. I want to go to Ashwini, in fact, first to get a full update on the ground about what's happening. Ashwini, several civilians injured, many of them critically injured, limbs have been lost, and even as we speak in Akhnur and in several other areas, firing still continues. Ashwini, what's the latest? Ashwini, if you can hear me, could you just update us on what the latest situation is as far as the ceasefire violations is concerned?
Yeah, yesterday night, whole night, there was a ceasefire violation of Pakistani post and around 40 to 45 BSF posts from Arnia to Akhnur sector, they were involved, and there is a damage across the border also, but nobody knows how many people have been killed and what is the damage of the. But there are reports that the villagers across the border, they have migrated from the places. Even in some of the observation posts from the Pakistani side, they have left their posts, and BSF has given the direction to their Jawans that at least they should give the befitting reply to the Pakistani ranger, that they should not fire on them. And this is a clear-cut direction, and today even the DG BSF DK Pathak has given instruction, and he has also given advisory to the villagers that they should not move out of their houses during night time, because their shell can hit them at anywhere, and even their animals also. Now, since morning 8:30
yes,
till now, there is a total calm, but there was 2 incidents in Arnia sector when 6 people were injured when Pakistani shell was exploded there.
Right.
Yeah.
Prakash Singh, I want to bring you in at this time. Your assessment, Mr. Singh, of what's happening right now, because we hear persistently from the government, you know, from our forces on the ground, from the current Director General, from the commanders on the ground, that retaliations are happening, a strong message is being sent out, but the ceasefire violations are not stopping. In fact, they're intensifying, Mr. Singh.
See, in Pakistan, Kashmir is the last refuge of every politician. When they have no other issues to stay relevant, they raise the Kashmir issue and try to fan public emotions and try to excite people. I mean, the other day we saw Bilal. I mean, the way he spoke,
yes,
it was almost hysterical. It was difficult to believe a young man speaking the way he was. And I also feel that Pakistan is probably they have some game plan.
Yes.
And
with the elections coming up also, that's also part of it.
Well, elections or no elections, they have a game plan, and in spite of whatever effective reply or effective response the Indian security forces are giving, they are still continuing
yes,
this ceasefire violations, and their game plan seems to be to provoke the government of India or the Indian security forces
into escalating the situation,
into doing something,
yes,
which they may be able to take up at the international fora.
Right.
So they are working on that game plan, and we should be careful not to walk into that trap.
Okay, so we should be careful not to walk into that trap. Before I go to Sudhanshu Mittal with some specific questions on that count, I want to just get Ashwini, my colleague, to give us a sense of the voices there. Many of those people you see standing with Ashwini Kumar in Akhnur are survivors of some of the bombardments. Ashwini, if you could just speak to some of those people and those families around you so that we can hear their voices as well, so they can tell us about how terrifying it is to be in those places that have been targeted by Pakistan.
Yeah, Shiv, Arur, we are at the Gakhrial villages, just 30 to 40 meters away from the Pakistani range. This is the Pakistani border. They can hit us anytime. We have some of the families, they are in the target area, and they have decided to move to the safer places because the Pakistani shelling and firing. We have some of the families, we will just talk to them. आपका नाम क्या है?
स्वर्णता।
स्वर्णता, कितना तंग आ चुके हो आप पाकिस्तान की फायरिंग और रेंज से? क्या डिसाइड किया आपने?
हम पाकिस्तान की फायरिंग से बहुत तंग आ चुके हैं। क्यों बार बार पाकिस्तान जो सीज फायर का उल्लंघन करता है, हर समय हमें यही डर रहता है कि कब फायरिंग होगी। हम अपने खेत में भी नहीं जा सकते, अपना काम भी नहीं अच्छे ढंग से कर सकते। एक तरफ हमें चिनाब दरिया के बाढ़ के कारण लोगों को इतनी परेशानी उठानी पड़ी कि हमारी फसल वगैरह बह गई और कितने नुकसान हो गया हमें, और हमारे बच्चे भी अच्छी तरह पढ़ भी नहीं सकते हैं, उनकी पढ़ाई बेकार होती है। ना ही हमारे बॉर्डर के रहने वाले बच्चे जो मैट्रिक पास हैं या मिडिल पास हैं, उनको कुछ काम भी नहीं मिलता है। वो बच्चे क्या करें, कहाँ जाएं?
किस तरह का जवाब चाहते हो पाकिस्तान को जिस तरह से बीएसएफ दे रही है?
पाकिस्तान को बीएसएफ ने वाले क्या करते हैं, ये तो हमारे जो मवेशी हैं, हम खेत के तार के आगे अपन जो हमारी तार लगी हुई है बॉर्डर पर, उसके आगे हमारे खेत, हम अपने खेतों में भी नहीं जा सकते। उनके खेत, उनके जानवर तो रोज हमारे खेतों में आकर घुसे रहते हैं। जो हम फसल बीजते हैं वो भी सारी खराब कर जाते हैं, हमें कोई मुआवजा वगैरह भी नहीं मिलता।
we have some male families, we'll just talk to them. क्या चाहते हो आप, किस तरह का जवाब दिया जाना है पाकिस्तान को?
हम चाहते हैं कि पाकिस्तान को करारे से करारा जवाब दिया जाए। जैसे कि अभी कल रात को हमने देखा कि यहाँ से फायरिंग की जा रही थी, लेकिन उस तरह का जवाब नहीं मिल पा रहा पाकिस्तान को, और वो बार बार सीज फायर का उल्लंघन करता है। और हम चाहते हैं कि इतना करारा जवाब दिया जाए कि पाकिस्तान दोबारा इस हरकत ना करे।
कितना डरे हुए हैं? आपका नाम?
दीपक सिंह मनास।
कितना आप चाहते हो, किस तरह का जवाब दिया जाना चाहिए?
जवाब टक्कर चाहिए अच्छी तरह जो कि वो कर सके, हिंदुस्तान हमारा कर सके कि उनके साथ टक्कर ले सके। वो बार बार हमारे पर आक्रमण करता है।
तो आप चाहते हो कि यहाँ से निकल के कहीं सेफ जगह जैसे सरकार ने बोला है?
जी सर, अब सेफ तो जगह तो जाना ही पड़ेगा, क्योंकि अब रात को जैसे बोला जा रहा है कि 8 बजे के बाद सब कुछ आपको यहाँ से मूव करना है और आपको 8 बजे के बाद आप यहाँ से घर से बाहर नहीं निकल सकते। तो यहाँ काफ़ी ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम होती है अभी रात को यहाँ से चलना, फिर जाना है, आगे पीछे मूव करना है। छोटे छोटे बच्चे हैं हमारे यहाँ पे, फैमिलीज़ काफ़ी ज़्यादा हैं, तो इतने लोगों का मूव करना बहुत मुश्किल होता है। लेकिन फिर भी यहाँ से कुछ लोग मूव कर जाएंगे और रिस्क तो काफ़ी ज़्यादा है, लेकिन क्या करें, अब खतरा तो उठाना ही है, क्योंकि आज की रात जो कि कार्रवाई बताया जा रहा है कि बीएसएफ की तरफ से जो कि जवाबी कार्रवाई की जाएगी।
जी, वी हैव सम स्टूडेंट्स आल्सो, वी कैन जस्ट टॉक टू देम। आपका पढ़ाई कितनी खराब हो रही है?
बॉर्डर पे जो फायरिंग हो रही है उसकी वजह से हमारी पढ़ाई बहुत सफ़र कर रही है। और रात को जो फायरिंग होती है, अभी जैसे एग्जाम्स चल रहे हैं तो हम पढ़ नहीं पाते हैं। और
क्या चाहते हो कि पाकिस्तान को किस तरह का जवाब दिया?
जवाब हमें करारा जवाब देना पड़ेगा।
Yes,
okay.
The students,
yes.
The female community also, they said that there should be a tit for tat to Pakistanis.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sudhanshu Mittal of the ruling BJP has been listening to some of those voices. I'm sure that he's also heard many other voices that have come in over the last few days. Mr. Mittal, I just want to read out a tweet from Prime Minister Modi when he wasn't the Prime Minister. 11th August 2013, a tweet from Narendra Modi says, India is going through a troubled situation. China intrudes our borders. Pakistan kills our soldiers time and again. But centre doesn't act. Now, Prakash Singh says that we should be careful about not walking into any trap, escalating the situation in such a way that it's precisely what Pakistan is looking for. But I think inquiring minds and citizens have a right to know, sir, from your party, which rules the government at this time, what is the centre doing?
Shivji, the concern expressed is well taken. However, do not label the response of the government of India in this case as rhetoric. I have before me the statement issued by the advisor to the Prime Minister of Pakistan on national security and foreign affairs, which has been issued today. Let me read out some of the portions of that. Expressed his deep concern over the recent escalation of violation of ceasefire at the line of control and working boundary by the Indian security forces. For 7 days now, the Indian security forces have been firing and shelling across line of control and working boundaries. Yesterday was Eid day, but the Indian forces, in complete disregard of the festival, carried out fire and put 4 innocent lives to death, and so on and so forth.
But
you
that's
see,
not
now
stopping our people from being killed, sir.
Allow me. Till now, we've been talking about measured response. This time we are talking about intense response. See, that a rogue state like Pakistan will violate this ceasefire is not within the control of the Indian government.
Right.
But how to respond to that, how to respond and how to give a reply which may knock in some sense is certainly within the domain of the Indian government.
Correct.
And that is exactly what is happening.
Which leads me to my final question, sir, because we're almost running out of time. Does the government have a plan? Because the other sense, apart from asking what your plan is, the second question, follow-up question to that is, does the government have a plan at all? Because it appears that the government is not very sure about what to do at this stage. That's definitely the domain of the government. Protecting the lives of Indians is the domain of the government.
Just a minute, Shiv. I don't think you're placing things in the perspective. Indian government's plan is to have a very severe response to what the Pakistani forces have been doing, and they've been doing it for 2 reasons, mind it. One is the problem of their internal politics, and the other is to facilitate the movement of the extremist elements to cross over the borders.
Correct.
And both these cases, the government of India is very, very conscious and has given a completely intense response just to tell them that for far too long you have taken us for granted.
Yes.
And if this is what you are going to do, we can have a more severe response. And that's the only deterrent. See, you have to understand that this does not lead to a war. But certainly a deterrent response will knock in some sense because the casualty...
Prakash Singh, do you believe that a message is going out in a strong manner to Pakistan at this point of time? Because it appears that the ceasefire violations are continuing.
Otherwise, this statement would not have been issued.
Understood. Got your point, Mr. Mittal. Prakash Singh, I want you to tell us what you think is going to happen next, because at least so far it doesn't appear that Pakistan is going to lay off this modus operandi of intensifying the violence.
See, government has given a carte blanche to the Indian security forces to respond effectively, strongly, and decisively against the Pakistan army and Pakistan Rangers violation, and I think that is enough, and we should trust the border security force and the Indian army to respond adequately to whatever violations are taking place from Pakistan side. Regarding the road ahead, you see, there is hardly any road ahead, because a stage comes in this kind of situation where both sides start showing fatigue, and then they say, no, let's have flag meeting and let's have ceasefire, and then ceasefire for maybe a week or 2 weeks, and then again go back to the same position. So,
all right, 13 ceasefire violations. In fact, the 14th happened at 2 o'clock this afternoon in the Balnoi sector, where I'm told by my sources just a moment ago that firing still continues. Small arms firing still continues. Where Ashwini is standing in the Akhnur sector, a ceasefire violation could happen at any point of time. Just a few hours before this, Ashwini was in a place where there was actual shelling, and we'll put that footage out for you also in just a bit. Sudhanshu Mittal, Prakash Singh, Ashwini, and to all of those people who joined Ashwini, thank you for joining us on this special broadcast here on Headlines Today. It's a top story right through this week. How could it not be right here on Headlines Today? We will continue to track it, get you the very latest breaking news and the latest analysis from the government and experts like Prakash Singh on what the way forward is going to be.